Hating on yourself as a mom is very normal, but it is absolutely not helpful. When you're unkind to yourself, when you have constant negative thoughts about yourself, it doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a better mom. Especially if you're sensitive. You need to practice more positive self-talk. And I want to draw you a picture and show you how your thoughts, feelings, and behavior are connected, and how if you change your thoughts, you can change your feelings and also your behavior. You end up changing your behavior to become a better mom and, in fact, a better human being. I like to call what I'm about to draw the cognitive behavioral triangle. So, something like this, okay? And on each corner of the triangle, there are your thoughts, which are connected to your feelings, which are connected to your behavior. All of these influence each other, but probably the easiest place to intervene and the place where you have the most control is, in fact, your thoughts. So a common thought that moms tend to think, and it's a really horrible one, is something like, I'm a terrible mother. I'm going to write it over here. I'm a terrible mother. I'm a horrible person. I'm a failure as a mother. And so on and so forth. Okay? And when you think to yourself, I'm a terrible mother, how do you feel? And chances are those feelings are not going to be good, right? How you feel when you think thoughts like I'm a terrible mother are things like sad, ashamed, depressed, maybe hopeless. Because if you're a terrible mother, then there's no hope for you, right? And when you're thinking thoughts like I'm a terrible mother, and you're feeling feelings like sadness, shame, depression, and hopelessness, how do you think you behave? What's your body language like? Are you upright and chirpy and full of vim and vigor? Probably not. Most likely, your body language is withdrawn. So your body language is withdrawn. You don't smile, right? What's there to smile about when you're a terrible mother and you feel hopeless? You probably are not playful with your children, because how can you be playful when you're thinking these thoughts and feeling these feelings? So you're kind of introverted, and maybe you're even irritable. In fact, when we feel like this, most of the time, we end up actually pushing people away, right? And amongst those people, we push our children away. We actually end up pushing the very people that we love the most. We end up pushing them away because, we don't want to damage them with our terrible mothering. And how do you think our children behave? How do you think they respond when we're thinking these thoughts, feeling these feelings, and expressing this kind of body language? I mean, do our children respond well to us? Unlikely, right? Most of the time, your children are going to act up around you. They will sense your unhappiness and your depression, and they are not going to be playful towards you. They're not going to smile at you. They're not going to give you positive reinforcement. No. Your children are going to reflect you like a mirror and give you all kinds of negative feedback in return. So, can you see how the thought connects to the feeling, how the feelings connect to the body language, how the body language and behavior is a kind of feedback loop, right? Where society and other people actually reinforce the negative feelings that you have when you behave in a negative way, and how all of that is connected in a horrible, negative, vicious cycle that cannot possibly make you a better human being, and in fact tends to spiral you down into even more and more thoughts and even more feelings, because the more horrible you feel, the more horribly you behave, the more others reflect that back at you and they don't treat you well, and the more horrible thoughts you have, and so it goes. And what a pity. It doesn't have to be that way. You have more control of your thoughts than you might think. In fact, a lot more control. After all, you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are something that just pass through your mind. Many of them very repetitive, many of them quite intrusive and negative, but your self-talk, your thoughts, are in fact more a habit than anything else. So, how to change it? Instead of thinking, I am a terrible mother, you can practice your self-awareness and notice yourself in this negative pattern, thinking these negative thoughts. Instead of thinking, I'm a terrible mother, you could change it to, how about, I'm doing the best that I can, right? I'm doing my best. Or, and keep this in mind, moms, Winnicott, one of the amazing fathers of psychology, of modern psychology, said that moms shouldn't be perfect. In fact, perfect moms are overwhelming to children and end up causing all kinds of problems. Being a neglectful mom is hardly ideal either. For Winnicott and for me, the balance that you want to strike is to be a good enough mother, which means that you meet your children's needs enough of the time that they can develop a sense of security and safety, but that you're not perfect. You make mistakes. You let things go sometimes. And that is where your children learn that it is okay to make mistakes, that it is okay to fall down and let things go and then pick them back up again, or apologize for your bad behavior. And that is just as important. So being a good enough mother is actually far better than being a perfect mother. Okay, so I'm doing my best and it's good enough. Okay, and when you say to yourself, I'm doing my best and it's good enough, how do you feel? How does that statement feel inside you? Well, it feels a lot more hopeful, right? It feels hopeful, it feels strong, it feels self-confident, okay? And when you're thinking thoughts like I'm doing my best and my best is good enough, and when you're feeling feelings like hopefulness, strength, and self-confidence, then how do you think you behave? Like, what does your body language look like? Your body language is probably a lot more open. So your body language is open, right? You probably smile. Smiley. You're much more likely to play with your children and to be kind to them. I'm going to write you more relaxed. And when you're open, smiley, and more relaxed, how do you think that your children respond to you or others respond to you? They smile back, right? They are pleasant back to you because what you put out in the world is often returned to you by the world. So others give you positive reinforcement. You feel calmer and your children are more likely to behave themselves. They're less likely to act up. They're less likely to give you all kinds of problems. And when they do, you'll handle it so much better because you're feeling hopeful, strong, and self-confident. You're able to relax and you're able to be a much better mom. So there's a positive feedback loop, right, from your children and from the world that reinforces your sense of self-confidence and security as a person. Okay, and can you see that all of these are just as linked? So when you're thinking positive and helpful thoughts, like I'm doing my best and it's good enough, then your positive thoughts are linked to the positive feelings of strength, confidence, and hopefulness. And the positive feelings result in positive behavior, which has a helpful and enjoyable feedback loop with your family and with the world. And all of that positivity leads to more positive thoughts about yourself. So for me, intervening here in your thoughts is something that you can change, and changing it is a practice. It's not a decision. It's not, oh, from now on I'm going to remind myself that I'm a good enough mother. No, it is becoming more self-aware so that when these thoughts arise, you notice them. And when you notice them, you make a positive effort to change them. And over time, you develop a habit of speaking more positively about yourself and to yourself. And this becomes a better pattern of thinking in your life. Negative feedback loops, like the one in green, negative feedback cycles, are often really entrenched. They're not easy to change. It's a bit like learning a new language. It does take time and it takes a lot of practice. But starting is the most important thing. And the best time to start is right now. Because thinking more kindly about yourself, thinking more positive thoughts, refusing to think poorly of yourself and instead choosing to think better of yourself makes you a better mom and a better human being.